Hey everyone, welcome. I'm going to be documenting a little bit of solo play for the playtest for Voidlight from Fari RPGs. I'm really excited to give this one a shot because I've been following the Boundless system here for a little while, and it's nice to jump in with something fresh and new as some new changes are being made. Keep that in mind. This is still in playtesting. There's been a lot of changes, like every day there's a few new little tweaks. Some things are more significant sometimes to the actual like nitty-gritty gameplay than others. But when I started, I built a couple characters, and it was still just in the pamphlet format, and so there were only a handful of tables. Now the book is filled with a bunch of really evocative tables that are gonna help me out, especially for solo play here. But I didn't want to remake my characters, even though I think that might be somewhat helpful to see what the system can do, especially in its current form, with a lot of what those tables can bring you in just getting an interesting cast. But I was already kind of fond of the people I built, so we're going to stick with them, even though they're a little minimal and aren't using the tables to their fullest advantage. So we're starting off with Rahim Ibn Jahul. I had drawn like stern and exotic and decided to explorer for him. So I think exotic for look, and I think that's because he's sort of always been an explorer. He's always sort of been wandering around, even as a kid. So he's the kind of person who's like not from anywhere. So the way he dresses, the way he talks, he's got bits and pieces of accents from all over. He's got, you know, cultural cues and tastes in food, and the things he wears aren't from any one place. And since no one can really like pin down where he's from, they sort of don't get him, and I think that causes him a lot of trouble. He has had some experience with being betrayed recently and trust issues, and that's why he's come to team up with someone a little more naive, because that seems like a safer bet. So he is joined by Faith Loneguard, who comes from privilege and has decided to show up here in the gut because of religious compunctions. Bad choice, bad choice. She's our wrench, so she has some formal engineering training, which is rare out here. And she's sort of on a journey of faith here, and we'll see how good that ends up going. Now, normally you're making expeditions into the innards of a giant beast in Voidlight. I wanted to flex my battle systems terrain that I had here and hadn't had a chance to use yet. So we're going to say that I didn't use any tables to come up with my overall story, but I'm definitely using all those great tables to populate these rooms and figure out what our challenges and threats are going to be. But for overall story, I've decided that a section of the gut has been shut down, in part because it's becoming exposed to the creature and it is off limits. And the station not being all that up on its health and safety standards, chances are there's something more going on here, and that something is probably valuable. So capitalizing on the fact that security wasn't paying super close attention, Rahim and Faith decided they're going to land their ship, their small runabout, take a look here and see what's going on and if there's anything of value that was left during the evacuation. So even though normally the gut I don't think is really supposed to be subject to the kind of dangers you need your Voidlight for, which is the timing mechanism in this game, in this case we're in a sort of settled area that is becoming unsettled, and so we will be needing it. Now I want to be clear, you don't need any of this to play Voidlight. Voidlight is not this kind of game. That's just who I am. I've got all this stuff. I like things to be visual, and so that's what we're doing. You're gonna have to do it because that's what I like. I mean, I didn't want to spend forever painting new miniatures and not actually doing this, so I'm using a couple old Star Wars miniatures game figures. I like these figures a lot, but yes, for pre-painted miniatures, they can be a little rough around the edges, so we're not gonna do too many close-ups on that. Also, I've got my little Voidlight pool here. Yes, that's the name of the game. I really like the Voidlight as a concept because it is a perfect pacing mechanism so that you don't have to play like a 4-hour session of Voidlight. In fact, you probably do it in way less than an hour because the game can push you to do that. Every 10 real life minutes, you will roll this pool. Successes are 5s and 6. You lose dice from that that aren't successes, a maximum of 2 or possibly 3 or 1, depending on your light's amplification setting. So this runs down, and the game is just over if you don't work fast enough. Now there's some provisions if that's like really stressful for you in the game to pace it a little more based on what sort of feels right for the game. But I love that there is a mechanism that's like, hey, we all have to get home at some point. So let's keep things moving. All right, so let's just get started. Raheem and Faith have just landed. They're here in this docking bay, and they need to start working quickly. They can see through the window here that there's a hallway out to... they actually can't really see what this area could potentially be, even from sort of moving to the side and glancing through this window. You don't have like a great angle down there to see what's around the corners. No signage or anything. They've got two doors in front of them, one leading to a passageway, one leading to this chamber ahead. I think this is the first thing they're going to work on. I'm going to decide that there is some difficulty in getting through this. The nice thing about solo play is you're the master of your own pacing. The oracles are there. They're great. They're very helpful, but sometimes you can just decide when you need a challenge and when you don't. I know I need a challenge here. I don't know if the door is locked, as in technology ways to get through it, or jammed, as in brute force ways to get through it. So that I will ask the oracle about. So I guess my question is the door locked? And I think that's a pretty decent chance of that being the case. So I'm going to roll 2d6 here, and then consult the oracle. So 2 4s. So neither of those is a success. So the answer is no, and the situation worsens. So not only is it jammed, but it's jammed, and we hear... let's say that we hear a scraping noise coming from over here. Now I'm going to let the oracle be the one that's descriptive about what is here if we don't get this door open fast enough. So let's try and do that. So the strongest of my characters is Raheem here. He does start with a 2 vigor, so he's going to do most of the pushing. I am going to have Faith, of course, assist him. That is going to mean she needs to lower her stamina here by 1. So that's going to drop down to a 5, but I do get to give Raheem an extra die. And do they have any gear that's going to help? Spare parts. Welder, not really in this situation. Scanner, lidar mapper. I don't think the monoline reel, I can't think of a good way that would actually be helpful in this case. Welder, if they were making the door more closed, I think would be great. But, yeah, not really anything in the spare parts pack. So, that's just 3 die we're rolling for this. Let's see how we do. I'm not knocking over the shrine there. All right, 2 5s. That means 2 successes, so that is a clean success. So they are able to muscle open this shutter, pulling it open. And I think so as not to see what's sort of scraping over here, they're rushing into this chamber and slamming the shutter back down without like really looking in here to see what the situation is. All right, as you can see, we've populated our room here. Trust me, your boy Ryan always has some random 3D printed sci-fi gobbledygook to throw anywhere, so I was very well prepared for this. I just consulted the random tables from the latest edition of the Playtest book to give me an idea of what I wanted in this room. If I was a little better set up for streaming this, I would, I'll throw those on screen right now. I wasn't rolling them live while recording because that sucks. So I'm going to tell you what the results I got, and you can sort of see from the tables here what sort of things are popping up. So we are in a sticky cargo bay. There is a generator here, and there is the threat of frost. So I think what's happening here is that the coolant system has broken down and is just flooding this room. I think it's freezing. I think it is not safe for people to be in. There's still some juice in this generator back here, which could conceivably be used to charge up one's Voidlight. However, it means staying in this god-awful freezing room. So I think if we want to do that, we are going to have to face a save, some physical injury here. At the moment, our Voidlight is fine, so we just want to leave this dangerous place. There is a door over here in the corner. I think I've sort of decided here at this point, every 2 rooms, I'm going to roll for our Voidlight. So our crew is going to rush to the door here. I think this one is fine. I feel okay not asking the Oracle if this is another challenge, just because like 2, the door won't open is a little samey. So I'm going to have them get out pretty easily here. Since we know the obvious challenge that this room offers us something nice if we stick around for the danger that's inherent there. And also that means we're rushing into this hallway, so we're kind of coming a little unprepared for whatever I randomly roll to be the nightmarish trouble that's going to be here. But for all that, we got to roll our Voidlight and see what we're losing here. So 5s and 6s, remember, our successes. Okay, so 2 successes. That's not terrible. So we are losing 2 dice from our Voidlight. So we are protected under the normal settings. I think from here on out, I'm going to set us on high beam. That is going to give us an advantage on all our rolls, which I believe is you just get to roll 1 more die because you are burning your Voidlight to do better. I don't feel too bad about that. We've got our generator here. We can make it work if we need to recharge. I believe one of them has a spare battery. It's not a spare battery. It's Raheem. He's got a spare battery pack for the Voidlight on him, so we've got resources that we can spend. So let's see what's out here sort of in this main concourse, including what's clearly some kind of religious shrine here. So in addition to that, I suppose. All right, so I thought about what challenge we could have here in this sort of concourse area. It's sort of open. It's not really a defined room. We sort of know what it is and what its purpose is. So I decided, you know what? I'm not even going to ask the Oracle. I want a creature. I want something to be hunting us potentially here throughout the halls. So I consulted the tables. I'm going to throw some of those up on screen right now. But again, I rolled off screen. It's fun to do them together, but it's also a little laborious. You know how this works. You grab your dice, you create a monster. It's a lot of fun. And I came up with, we have a cunning hybrid who's defending one of these chambers. I randomly decided this is the room with our fancy cargo box here. There's something in there it wants protected. It has big mandibles, so I think its jaw, being a hybrid, it's sort of human and something else. So I think its jaw like breaks open in one of those really unpleasant ways. It also has sting, so it's got some kind of stinger appendages on it. It's acid resistant, which, these two don't have any acid handy anyway, so it probably will not come up. And in terms of special senses, it's extremely observant. So I think our hybrid is slinking along the corridor here. It's well aware of them. It can hear them perfectly with its enhanced senses, and is mostly gonna stay out of the way unless they start to mess with this chamber here where its precious treasure, whatever that is being held. In the meantime, I think we found the objective that Faith was here for. I think she's curious about the sanctuary, this shrine here. Sanctuary, a bit of green on a moldy space station. Raheem is not, this is really not what he's here for. He's here for something that's going to actually turn them a profit, but this is his partner, he's in it for the long haul. He knows this is important to her, so he's gonna watch her back while she prays, observes, does some sketches, whatever it is. We're gonna find out what's sort of interesting about this shrine here with the help of our oracle and our charts. Is she gonna pray? You saw this thing around the corner. I think we should all pray.